Well, it never ends, because what do you do for the next generation, right? What about the next people that take on college debt? Do they get 10? It's a little bit like illegal immigration. Do you just continue to give out dreamer status and pathway to citizenship status to every wave of illegal immigrant? Do you give $10,000 in grants or for debt forgiveness to every generation of college student? You can't.
Oh, God. So it was announced today that the Biden administration is going to forgive student loan debt up to $20,000 for, borrowers who got a Pell Grant or who earn less than $125,000. And the response by right-wingers has been predictably unhinged and ridiculous. Of course, first up, we got Will Cain, who somehow finds it in his head to compare student loan forgiveness to giving a bump of heroin to a heroin addict suffering from withdrawals.
The appropriate, I've struggled with this, Sandra. What's the metaphor for forgiving college debt? It would be like someone who is addicted to heroin, who is going through horrendous withdrawals. And there's a certain person in the room who says, well, only thing we can do to do away with these withdrawals is give them another bump of heroin. So this bill would only serve to hurt the long-term equation, which is it would rise the cost of college once again.
Because then the forgiveness down the road will have to be
bump to universities.
Bigger and bigger, to your point.
Again, I don't know how this metaphor makes sense, especially when this dude, my favorite part is that he's talking out of both sides of his mouth. Like, on the one hand, if you watch the whole clip, like, he's actually acknowledging that it's kind of up what the college and university system is doing to students and borrowers, right? Like, they are essentially extorting people because they know they are the gatekeepers to entry into the professional class / middle class of this country. And they are price gouging the out of people. Return on investment is bull. It's awful what they're doing. He acknowledges this injustice.
What does this do to address those soaring costs? Why aren't we talking about that?
Look at that chart. That is actually stunning. And by the way, so Sandra, nothing I just said should be read as someone who thinks that what's going on in college with cost, and by the way, the return on investment of a college degree, is acceptable, that it's just, that it's appropriate market forces. It's most certainly not.
Out the other side of his mouth, he says that we're somehow feeding some heroin addicts need, as if student loan borrowers aren't doing this out of a sense of necessity. This isn't some indulgence. Going to school, getting an education isn't a luxury. It's not an indulgence. It's not a recreation. This is what you have to do in order to become a member of the middle class and professional class in this country. So his comparison is completely asinine, stupid, and gutless. And then, of course, elsewhere on Fox, we have Republican Representative Kevin Brady from Texas saying that Joe Biden is using this student loan debt. He's using the federal government as a quote-unquote slush fund by forgiving student loan debt.
Probably not a big fan of this spending right now. Congressman, good to have you.
Good to see you, Neil. And you're right, I'm not a fan. One, because I don't believe this is legal. Look, the president is trying to use taxpayers as a personal campaign slush fund, and it's wrong. And I don't believe he has the legal authority to do it. But I think, to your bigger point, this is just so unfair.
Let's put this in perspective. Federal and state governments give subsidies to corporations all the time, and we do not see a return on those subsidies and investments all the time. It's just straight up tax money that we would have gotten, and we forgive it to corporations all over the place. See all the stupid ballparks, all kinds of crazy. We subsidize billionaires, billion-dollar corporations all the time and don't see no return on this. Yet this fool has a problem with the president forgiving the student loan debt of individual citizens. People making less than $125,000. Now, I'm no mathematician, but that's way less than billions and tens of millions, like these shareholders and these big-ass corporations. So, obviously, the Republican response is going to be unhinged because there's no downside to this. They don't have a legitimate argument as to why we shouldn't be doing this. The only argument against this is that this student loan forgiveness should be more widespread. We shouldn't be mean testing this. We should just be wiping this out across the board. But, it's the Republicans, so what else do you expect?